Brian again. Probably my second clip of my 4459 attempt. So I'm over the first decent hill. Apologize if there's a lot of wind in the camera. It's a little breezy. Santa Ana winds. It's weird. It's one of those weird weather patterns we get here occasionally when a low pressure system and a hot, dry, well, it's not hot today by any stretch. It's actually very comfortable outside. It's probably anywhere between 48 and 50 degrees, at 48 and 55 degrees. So probably in the low 50s. For me, it's very comfortable. You see it's all thick and overcast, and these are mostly mid and high level clouds from a low pressure system. I believe that's to our southwest. And there's also a high pressure system. I believe it's near the Great Basin area, the Four Corners, Colorado, New Mexico, Colorado, Utah, and da-da-da. And that's pushing Santa Ana winds over our mountains, so it's drying out our atmosphere. However, the low pressure system has actually been pushing bands of very light rain to coastal SoCal, and they might come through. They might come up here in the mountains later. So I did bring a poncho with me. So it's one of those times, and this has happened a few times in my recollection, where dry Santa Ana winds are blowing and rain is falling at the same time. It's very weird because Santa Anas usually mean very, very dry weather, but the rain probably would be heavier, a little bit heavier, if it weren't for the very drying Santa Ana winds. So it's like a battle between rain moisture and dry Santa Ana winds. And it's kind of interesting how that happens occasionally. I mean, ever since we had the big slop of rainstorms in mid to late December, mostly during my hiking hiatus, it was a little too wet for me to go hiking around Christmas. And on New Year's Day, my next day off, my registration had expired, so I was kind of out of the loop for a while again. So it was very wet around here for about 2.5 weeks of quite a bit of rainfall and a lot of snowfall here in the San Gabriels. It's been a few weeks since we've seen anything, but if you look over towards Strawberry Peak, there's still some patches left. It's a little above 6,000 feet, like 6,164 is the summit elevation. So the north side of it still has patches. Of course, the higher country like Powell and Waterman, Twin Peaks, Baldy, Cucamonga Wilderness, still quite a bit of snow up there. But we haven't had a storm come through since, was it the 29th or the 30th of December? So it's been more than a half a month. But there's been enough snow for it to persist for quite a while. The eastern part of San Gabriel's measuring snow by the feet. There was a lot of snow, especially on the eastern side of the range, which was great. It did help our drought situation a bit. However, the outlook through the end of this month is not good if you're hoping for rain. Very, very poor. They're expecting what weather people call the ridiculously resilient ridge, in other words the triple R or the RRR, to take hold, and they're thinking it might be a big part of the rest of our rainy season through February and March. So I mean, they're expecting December to be dry, but eventually broke down and the rains came a-tumbling. But it looks like we're back to the basics. In fact, after the first week of January, the temperatures have really warmed up. It's been mostly in the upper 70s and low 80s where I live. Well, mid 70s to low 80s. Very warm again. So it's like we're back to the old bits. Alright, well, enough about meteorology. Here comes the first really steep, like uber steep part. It's going to go up towards the next false summit. This one's going to be pretty rough. This one's going to be steep as heck. Especially when we start getting up towards that midpoint right there. Looks like it's really going to amp up. I was looking at the slope gradient. There's a little thing on Google Earth where you can map out a route. You can it's called like make a path or whatever you want to call it. You can draw a path of an area. It'll show you the measurements, like it'll show you the mileage, and then you can check the elevation profile. It'll show you how much elevation is gained and lost in that segment, and also the average slope grade and slope grades for each individual section you highlight on the map. Well, I think there was one where it was like 52. I think there was a max slope of 52 degrees, I think. So, yeah. This is definitely a hike you're going to want to take slowly. Don't rush it. I've already gained a few hundred feet already. And my car's just down there. Not that far yet. So, this hike really starts off with a bang. Then it kind of mellows out. So you're going to be going over a lot of hills. So, this hike's going to be a very good workout for me. Oh, and last January, the end of last January, I did a snow hike up to Little Iron Mountain, or Iron Mountain number 3. It's that peak right there. And it's just barely 5,000 feet. And I was hiking the road. So what I did is I hiked up over Monte Cristo Peak, which is kind of behind the fold of this mountain here. Then I went around, and I went to the backside of Iron, and I was on the dirt road on the backside of Iron. There was about a foot of snow there, anywhere between a half a foot to a foot of snow in spots, and that's below 5,000 feet. That's after we had a huge storm towards the latter part of January. So I want to check out that series. I think it's about 11. I think it's a pretty long mini series. It's a pretty long hiking series. But you'll see me slogging in snow, and even though the hike itself is really not that hard, except for a few steep spots in snow, especially when you're hiking up a Firebreak in snow. So I took the Firebreak on the back side, trying to avoid the Firebreak on the front side because it was steep burr, and I didn't want to slip, because even on the south side there was enough snow to make it really slippery. We'll check out that video set. Hiked up from Monte Cristo Campground up to Iron, and then looped back on a fire road back to the campground. So a really nice day. Okay, I'm gonna go keep hiking up this. I'm gonna go ahead and try to pay more attention, because this is really steep and it's getting a little loose because the soil's drying out from a couple weeks of no rainfall. So I'll see you on my next clip. Hopefully hopefully it'll mellow out a little bit, but it's definitely a good workout. I'll see you on my next clip.